After my death, the elderly Eli Fu immediately married his first love. I watched from above as their withered hands clasped tightly together, reflecting on a lifetime spent building everything from scratch with him. My heart felt conflicted. If given another chance, I would gladly step aside for them. At the wedding, I let go of my father's hand, tore off my veil, and ran toward the door. Later, Eli Fu asked me with reddened eyes, "Why? I've seen how you loved others, so I know you never loved me." My mind was buzzing, and my consciousness gradually cleared. I look around at the young faces, all of them familiar people. Grandma and Mom are smiling through tears, dressed in festive outfits. Grandma, I turned to look at my father, who was holding my hand. His face, decades younger, was filled with reluctance. The groom, Eli Fu, stood ahead, with handsome features and a tall, straight figure. He smiled gently, yet with visible nervousness. At this moment, I was certain. I have been reborn. I've returned to the day of my wedding with Eli Fu, but just a moment ago, I was floating in the air, watching him marry his first love. Tears of blood streamed down my face, my heart aching for myself. Why has he never said anything? For decades, we have always treated each other with respect. He has been very good to me, and we rarely argue. I thought I had met the right person, and even before I died, I held his hand and said I wanted to be his wife in the next life. He was crying and didn't say a word. At that time, I didn't think much of it, assuming he was just overwhelmed with grief. My heart was racing. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Eli Fu's group of family and friends. There was a woman with an exceptional aura and beautiful features. She looked sorrowful, standing out starkly against the surrounding joy. It's her, overlapping with that aged face. I recognized it at a glance. No, my heart began to panic. I didn't want to live another life. I don't want to marry Eli Fu. I don't. I abruptly shook off my father's hand and fiercely tore off the veil, throwing it to the ground. Everyone froze in shock. With reddened eyes, I stared at the bewildered Eli Fu, feeling as if even the pain had vanished from my heart. "I'm sorry, I can't marry you anymore." I turned and ran toward the door, with everyone, including Eli Fu, calling out to me, "Ivy Shin." I locked myself in my room for 2 days without eating or drinking. My parents also shifted from their initial scolding and unreasonable behavior to respecting my thoughts. "Ivy, just a few days ago you were still happily saying you were going to marry Eli and become his bride. Why are you suddenly acting like this now? Mom isn't mad at you. Please come out, you need to eat. Your grandmother personally cooked your favorite dishes." My father's voice followed, "If you don't want to get married, then don't, even if you never marry in your lifetime. We can still provide for you. You're an adult now. What's all this fuss about? Come out and eat." Then came my brother's voice, "That's right, sis, if you don't want to marry him, then don't. If Eli Fu dares say one word against you, I'll beat him up." Sitting by the door, I was already in tears. In this day and age, I feel fortunate to have been born into a family where I never have to worry about food or clothing, and where my parents and siblings all love me dearly. I admit I'm not cut out for studying. I only graduated from high school. My family is very open-minded and didn't force me to continue my education. Eli Fu is highly educated, which is quite rare in our small town, since her family runs a paper factory. Aunt Eli Fu is the team leader at our factory. Seeing that we were a good match in appearance, they arranged a matchmaking. I was also nervous about meeting him, afraid that he would look down on me for my lack of education. He didn't, and instead was very polite. I fell in love with him at first sight. The elders were all very satisfied with him, and I, in particular, fell head over heels in love. Unable to extricate myself, we soon set the wedding date. I opened the door to the room, and my mother immediately hugged me. "You silly child. What are you doing? No matter what happens, you mustn't harm yourself. If something were to happen to you, what would we do?" I burst into tears. And both my father and my brother had red-rimmed eyes. My brother Shunhui even said, "My sister is so sensible, and now she's suddenly acting like this. Isn't it Eli Fu's fault? Since things have come to this, I'll just say it straight. What's so great about the Fu family, Mom and Dad? Do you know?" Eli Fu's mother said in private that my sister isn't good enough for her son, and that it's only because our family has a bit of money. Hearing my brother say this, I remembered my wedding day in my previous life. My brother seemed hesitant to speak, and in the end, he whispered to me, "After you get married, don't live with his mother, live in the house our family gave you." I laughed and told him not to worry, saying that Eli Fu's mother treated me very well. It was only later that I realized my brother was right. 3. Eli Fu is simply not worthy of my sister, my brother said, growing angrier as he spoke. I suddenly remembered that when Eli Fu married his first love, my 70-year-old brother showed up at the scene, cursing and shouting, and was eventually dragged out. I was crying so hard I could barely catch my breath, and I said to my brother, who was only 20 at the time, "Xiaohui, your sister is sorry. It was all because of me. In my previous life, those bodyguards roughly chased my brother away. He fell, and I never found out what happened to him afterward." I screamed and drifted over. "And then I was reborn." "Sis, what nonsense are you talking?" I wiped away my tears and smiled, taking their hands. "Let's eat, I'm so hungry." I ate 2 bowls of rice in one go. Seeing me like this, my family also felt relieved. I've figured it out. In this new life, I will live for myself. Eli Fu is not worth my efforts. In this lifetime, I don't want to have anything to do with him anymore. In my previous life, after we got married, Eli Fu worked as a teacher with a low salary. And we still lived with my mother-in-law. As for my own house, I rent it out, and all the rental income is used to cover household expenses. My mother-in-law said that as the eldest sister-in-law, I not only have to support Eli Fu, I also need to set an example as the eldest sister-in-law in front of my aunts and younger brothers-in-law. Eli Fu has 4 younger sisters and 2 younger brothers. I have a gentle nature and am especially respectful towards my elders. I don't have any other skills. But I'm quite articulate, so I set up a stall. This stall has been my livelihood for over a decade. It wasn't until Eli Fu got promoted that our family's financial situation improved somewhat. He had me manage a shop, which made things a bit easier for me, but only a little, because Eli Fu never came to the store to help me. I knew he was a scholar and too proud to lower himself to such tasks. I didn't force him either. During my pregnancy, he took great care of me, and after our son was born, he was hands-on in raising him. Mom works hard to earn money, so you need to be good. To be honest, he's not a bad person. So even after being reborn, I can't bring myself to hate him, but I truly don't want to be involved with him anymore. Thinking this, the dishes were done, but the Fu family came knocking at the door. 4. Eli Fu's mother angrily pushed open my door. My parents and my younger brother immediately went out, and Eli Fu's mother pointed at them and started yelling, "Yushan family, are you deliberately messing with our Fu family? My son is such an outstanding person. Why should he suffer this injustice? You call off the wedding just like that. Do you even have any respect for us? Has your family shown any respect to ours?" I dried my hands and walked out. Meeting my mother-in-law from my previous life, when she saw me, the anger on her face intensified. "Ivy-shan, you owe my family an explanation." After saying that, she picked up a nearby broom and swung it at me. For a moment, the scene became chaotic. My parents rushed over to try and stop her, but they were too far away. Just as the stick was about to hit me, a dark figure flashed in front of me. He grunted, and I also saw who had come. It was Eli Fu. But why? He clearly doesn't love me. I stared blankly at him, and my eyes suddenly grew blurry. I say it lightly after being reborn, but this man, I loved him for a lifetime in my past life. Seeing him again, I have to admit, I'm not willing to let go. "Don't cry, Ivy-shan." Eli Fu's expression began to panic, and I dodged his hand that tried to wipe away my tears. In this lifetime, I even resist his touch deep in my heart. "Eli, Mom didn't mean to." Eli Fu's mother looked heartbroken and full of self-blame. "Mother, please go back. This is between me and Ivy-shan. I will handle it myself." "But, go back." A trace of anger appeared on Eli Fu's gentle face. His mother shot me a glare and left furiously. Eli Fu bowed to my parents. "Uncle, Aunt, I'm very sorry. I hope you won't take it to heart." My parents' expressions were not good, but they didn't say anything. My brother retorted to him, "Thankfully my sister came to her senses. With a mother-in-law like yours, marrying into that family would mean suffering." Eli Fu silently walked up to me. "Ivy-shan, would you like to talk with me?" "What is there to talk about?" "Sis, let's go back." My brother came over and grabbed my wrist. I gently broke free and said softly, "Xiaohui, be good." I'll talk with him. Some things really need to be said clearly. I'm not like Eli Fu. I'll make him understand completely. 5. We walked until we reached a rapeseed flower field and stopped, with a gentle breeze blowing. I gazed straight ahead. Can you tell me why? He spoke up. I finally looked at him. Is it about why I suddenly called off the wedding at the ceremony? He didn't say anything, just looked at me. After a long while, I finally said, I saw Chen Jing, the woman you loved but could never have, because I've seen how you love others. That's how I know you never loved me. I saw Eli Fu's expression gradually stiffen. He stared at me blankly, his voice hoarse as he asked, how did you know? Perhaps the heavens took pity on me, letting me see through what you kept hidden for a lifetime. On my wedding night with Eli Fu in my previous life, he told me he needed to step out to see his distant cousin off at the station. I didn't think much of it at the time and just told him to hurry back. And that cousin is Chen Jing. She spoke to me. During the toast, the beautiful woman's eyes were red. Sister-in-law, Eli has had a hard time. You treat him well. At the time, I found this statement strange, but couldn't pinpoint exactly why. Having lived through it again, everything now makes sense. Is she at your house now? Is she your advisor's daughter? Did her family oppose your relationship? Because you're just a poor guy. I overheard all this from the air, listening to those relatives and friends. A few of them even shed tears of emotion. Anyone who didn't know better would think I was the one who tore them apart. Eli Fu swallowed, his prominent Adam's apple bobbing up and down. He looked at me with despair and fear in his eyes, but he couldn't speak, because everything I said was correct. He had nothing to say. I suppressed the turmoil in my heart and let out a self-mocking laugh. Eli Fu, since you like her so much, why not make an effort to be with her? Why not seek her family's forgiveness? Just like how you spoke to my parents at my home, asking them to entrust me to you. At this point, my eyes instantly welled up, and I couldn't help but choke up. Speaking these truths out loud is truly cruel, but if I don't say them, who will care for me? Ivy Shin, in my past life, until the moment I died, I always believed he loved me. I was willing to give everything for him, as long as he, Eli Fu, was safe and sound. My son and I are doing well, but in the end, my son supports his father remarrying, saying that life should not be lived with regrets. The only one who stood up for me was my own brother, leaning on his cane. No, Ivy Shin, listen to me. Eli Fu was anxious to defend himself, but he couldn't refute her. His lips were bitten until they turned purplish red. Then you listen to me. I, Ivy Shin, don't want to have anything to do with you in this lifetime. If you're still human, you should let me go. I turned around, and he suddenly grabbed my wrist, his voice trembling. Ivy Shin. I closed my eyes, then fiercely shook him off and walked away without looking back. 6. As soon as I got back, I threw myself into work at my family's factory. In my previous life, because I helped out at home, I became quite interested in business. The factory is currently operating at an average level. After I got married, missing an important cooperation opportunity led to a large accumulation of goods in the warehouse, resulting in significant losses. My family gradually declined. Since I have been reborn this time, I must seize this opportunity firmly. I arrived at the most dilapidated household in the village, and the person I was looking for is named Li Yi, that figure who would later dominate the business world. I pushed open the dilapidated gate, and there was a bang in the yard. Li Yi, with his muscular build and wheat-colored skin, was placing a bag of recyclables onto a tricycle. He turned and saw me, his dark pupils widening for a moment before his face returned to its usual impassiveness. Li Yi was handsome, 188 centimeters tall, with sword-like eyebrows and star-like eyes, exuding an aura of masculinity. I secretly patted my chest, which had been startled, and reached out my hand to him, smiling with a friendly expression. Long time no see. Li Yi and I were elementary school classmates. His family wasn't originally that poor, but his older brother got into trouble and was sent to prison when he was in 5th grade. Li Yi's parents couldn't handle the blow and fell ill one after another. He dropped out of school, and the villagers looked down on his family. Li Yi glanced at my still fair and tender hand at the time, didn't return the handshake, but turned around and placed another bag onto the cart. This time, the force was much lighter. Just when I thought he wasn't going to pay any attention to me, he spoke up. His voice deep and magnetic. Something wrong? Do you remember me? I'm Ivy Shin. We were in the same class in elementary school. I tried to strike up a conversation. Actually, not long after he dropped out, I would still greet him whenever I saw him. But Lee never acknowledged me. Another loud bang, boom. I really can't handle being startled. Lee's face was dark and uncertain. If there's nothing else, please leave. I just wanted to discuss business with you, I said cautiously. 7. It turns out that a salted fish can't remain a salted fish forever. If so, then it's not enough effort. If a worm wants to become a dragon, it must put in the effort of a dragon. And Lee, he truly worked hard. In my previous life, I saw his interview on the television news. Already the richest person in a certain city, he sat calmly in front of the reporters, dressed in a suit. It tells the story of his life. From rags to riches, he'd done all sorts of manual labor, like collecting scrap, washing dishes, and working on assembly lines. We were both over 50 at the time, and I recognized him instantly. My heart was filled with emotion, and I was happy for him to have achieved so much. So, you lack nothing now. Do you have any regrets? The reporter asked him. He paused, then suddenly gave a bitter smile. When I was young, I had no money and felt inferior. There was a girl I liked, but she's long since married and had children. Didn't you express your feelings? What if the girl was willing to endure hardship with you? The reporter asked with a smile. But I wasn't willing. I could barely feed myself back then. Her family was well off, and I heard the husband she married is very gentle. That's good. So, is that why you haven't married yet? Anyway, it's fine to be alone for this lifetime. When I heard him say that, I felt quite sad for him. What business? He asked me back. That's right. I heard you leased old Jong's shop in town and are planning to open a grocery store. Who told you that? Old Jong. I nodded vigorously. He went abroad with his son the same day we signed the contract. Are you sure? I'm screwed. I can't exactly say I'm reborn and that's how I know everything. Can I? My mom is quite close with old Jong's son's wife. He nodded, seemingly understanding but not quite. So, have you decided on the brand of paper towels for your grocery store? Just get them from my place. I'll give you a friend's price. 8. In his previous life, Lee invested all the money he saved from working into this grocery store. He was strong and reliable, and could deliver goods to customers' homes. Gradually, he gained more and more customers, and his business thrived. Later, he opened a small shop, then a supermarket, and eventually a chain of department stores. At that time, Lee came to my house wanting to get the goods, and we had already agreed on it. But my grandmother messed it up. My parents were away on a business trip at the time. On the day Lee came to pick up the goods, he ran into my grandmother, who asked, "Is the brother of a murderer reliable?" Lee's face darkened on the spot, and he left without looking back. Later, his business took off. And from then on, our family lost a very important major client. And thus, it declined. How much? I named a price, and Lee nodded. If you think it's suitable. You can come to my house to find me anytime. Aren't you married? Which home should I go to? His sudden question caught me off guard. Oh right. I called off the engagement. Probably everyone in the village knows by now. Maybe he's the only one who doesn't. I ran away at the wedding. Haven't you heard? Lee instantly stopped what he was doing, emotions churning in his eyes before finally settling into calmness. Oh, I haven't heard. Been too busy. Oh, it's good to stay busy. I agreed, momentarily at a loss for words. I'm waiting for you at home. Lee, afraid he might change his mind, I immediately left. The next morning at 6, Lee showed up at my doorstep. My brother saw him and shouted with a face full of surprise. Brother Yi. I stared at my brother in confusion. What was going on? 9. Lee nodded, but his eyes were fixed on me, who was biting into a steamed bun with a dazed expression. I want to get some goods, he stated his purpose. This was the best news I had heard since my rebirth. Then, I'll take you to the factory to have a look. I stood up. No need, just place the order directly. I'm not free tomorrow. I'll come pick up the goods by bike the day after tomorrow. Hey, we offer home delivery service. I nudged my brother's elbow. He nodded vigorously. Brother Yi, I'll deliver it tomorrow. Lee thought for a moment, stated the quantity of the goods, and then left. Tell me the truth, I said to my younger brother. My younger brother scratched his head before telling me how he came to know Lee. When my brother was in his first year of high school, he went to a classmate's house for dinner one day and came back quite late. My parents thought boys liked to play around, so they didn't go looking for him at that time. My brother hadn't really hit his growth spurt yet and was quite short. A middle-aged man from the neighboring village covered his mouth and was about to drag him into the bushes. Lee happened to pass by, beat up the man, and saved my brother. I was stunned, my back tingling with chills, and my heart filled with intense fear. If my brother hadn't been saved by Lee, what would that man have done to him? Recalling a past life where I lived for most of my years, one of Eli Fu's sister's sons, who liked boys, secretly kissed his napping roommate in the dormitory, and the roommate's parents came knocking on the door. I shuddered all over, then heard my brother say, "If it weren't for Brother Yi, I really can't imagine what would have happened." So later I brought some local eggs to thank Brother Yi. When I run into him in the village, I call out to him, but he's cold and doesn't really pay me any attention. But what does it matter? I'm going to treat him like my own brother. My younger brother said with a determined look on his face. 10. The next day, we delivered the paper towels to Lee's shop. The storefront was very small. And he was wearing a tank top, bare-armed, painting the wall. My younger brother, upon seeing this, volunteered to help him. "Let's help together." I also said to Lee, I was very grateful in my heart for him saving my younger brother. He looked at me and finally agreed to let my younger brother do the painting. And I sat by the door, guarding some of his goods. He even got the small stool from his tricycle for me to sit on. For the next half-month, my brother and I would run over to Lee's whenever we had nothing to do. We gradually became more familiar, and although he still had a cold demeanor, he was no longer as resistant as before. Until this day, Chen Jing came to my door. She was wearing a light blue dress, her long hair reaching her waist, slowly walking toward me. "Ivy Shen, can we talk in private?" To be honest, with all the busyness at home and with Lee lately, I had almost forgotten about this person. "She hasn't gone back yet." I nodded and followed her to a large tree nearby. "Go check on Eli. He's sick." Eli, honestly, I've almost completely forgotten about this husband from my past life. I've already made it clear to him. We have no relationship whatsoever in this life, I said. To my surprise, the next second, Chen Jing actually burst into tears and tried to kneel before me. I quickly helped her up. "What do you do? I'm begging you, Ivy Shen, go see him. He can't live without you." What a thing to say. I frowned deeply, thinking she was being completely unreasonable. "Sis," my brother called out to me from over there, with Lee standing beside him. "It's fine, I'll be right back." I waved to them. When I arrived at Eli Fu's house, I saw him lying in bed, looking haggard. But when he saw me, it was as if light had been injected into his eyes. "Ivy, 11, Ivy." My pupils were filled with shock, because this was the nickname Eli Fu started calling me in the 10th year of our marriage in my previous life. I stared at him blankly, completely at a loss for words. Chen Jing walked up to him, looking at him with reddened eyes. "Brother Eli, I've brought her here for you. You should have a good talk with her." "What is there to talk about?" Chen Jing stepped out, leaving only the two of us in the room. Eli Fu looked at me, his eyes gradually reddening. His voice choked up, and he spoke in a hushed tone. "You don't want to be with me anymore. Is it because you already knew everything in your past life?" "Ivy, it seems it's true. Eli Fu has also been reborn." "Knew what? I didn't know until after I died. If it weren't for my deep feelings for you, lingering and unwilling to leave, I wouldn't have seen you remarry. Whether it's a second chance at life or just a dream, I think I've made myself clear enough." "Eli Fu, what are you trying to do now? Do you think I would still feel sorry for you, since we both know? Let's just lay it all out." Eli Fu bit his lip tightly, a habit he had developed over many years whenever he was at a loss for words or had no justification. In my previous life, when I saw him like this, I would be the first to lower my head. Actually, it's not like we never argued. We did have one argument. On his 40th birthday, I had prepared a table full of dishes early on, waiting for him to come back and eat. I waited all night, but couldn't reach him at all. The next day, he returned, looking travel-worn. He paused when he saw me. "Why aren't you asleep?" "I was doing experiments late and forgot to charge my phone." "I didn't tell you." "I'm sorry," but he didn't know that when I went to his school to look for him, he wasn't there at all. I called him out, for the first time with a cold expression, demanding an explanation. He was just like this lifeless state is in now, after a long, silent standoff. He finally said he had made a last-minute trip to the neighboring city to have a meal with his old college friends. He even forced a casual laugh and said that one of his friends actually remembered his birthday. Afraid I wouldn't believe it, he showed me a group photo of them all. He truly wasn't lying. The group looked quite scholarly. Standing beside him was a middle-aged woman, gentle in appearance and looking exactly like the young Chen Jing. 12. Let's each preserve some dignity. Why did you still insist on marrying Chen Jing after I died? You two were always in contact, weren't you? Even if you didn't do anything out of line, was it really fair to me, or to Chen Jing's husband at the time, to constantly stay in touch with your first love? Eli Fu's face grew paler. Now, having been reborn to sort out the karma of my past life, I feel nothing but exhaustion. You can go and find your fulfillment, Eli Fu. I'll make it happen for you and Chen Jing, and I don't love you anymore. I walked out the door, and Eli Fu stumbled after me. Chen Jing rushed over and supported him with concern, her face full of anger as she looked at me. Ivy-shan, don't go too far. You publicly humiliated brother Eli by calling off the wedding, and now he's bedridden because of you. Yet you still hurt him like this. How ridiculous. I actually laughed out loud too. Does it feel good to watch your first love so heartbroken over another woman? Chen Jing stared at me in astonishment. Who exactly is hurting whom? If I hadn't found out, would you have deceived me for a lifetime? Chen Jing, you and your first love have gone too far. Although I have a gentle disposition, it doesn't mean I'm truly a pushover. If you keep bothering me, don't blame me for exposing your affairs. You probably haven't witnessed how sharp-tongued the aunties in our village can be, have you? You've been away from home for a month and a half. I can't guarantee how the rumors will spread by then. Your family is supposed to be a scholarly one, right? Will your father beat you? A look of fear finally appeared on Chen Jing's face as she tearfully called out to Eli Fu, Brother Eli, my father mustn't find out. First love is still first love after all. And its impact is undeniable. Eli Fu looked weak, but his tone was serious. Ivy, don't scare her, and don't deliberately provoke me. You can direct all your anger at me. I'm willing to bear all your fury, whether in the past or now. I silently watched him, understanding his meaning. He was referring to both the past life and the present one. I took a deep breath, not wanting to cry in front of him. That's easy to solve. Just never appear before me again, otherwise, I'll spill it all. Did Eli Fu really get angry because I've been trying to distance myself from him? He walked toward me and just reached out his hand. It was knocked off. Don't touch her, she's dirty. I turned my head and saw Li Yi, 13. Beside him was my younger brother, glaring at Eli Fu. I wanted to ask how they got here. Sis, how long is a little while? Brother Yi and I thought something happened to you, so we rushed over immediately. Good thing nothing happened. Otherwise I would have torn down the Fu family. Eli Fu saw that it was my brother, and his expression grew even more unpleasant. Just like in the past when he always thought my brother was not serious about his work and would always treat him with a lukewarm attitude. Shun Hui, this is a matter between your sister and me. You'd better not interfere. Even now, he still has that lecturing attitude. My brother seemed to have heard some hilarious joke and immediately started pointing at Eli Fu's nose, cursing him out. Do I have to give you face? Are you out of your mind from a fever? My sister called off the engagement with you. You idiot. It proves that when a scholar meets someone who doesn't love reading, they are always at a loss. I watched Eli Fu's face turn as purple as a pig's liver, but he couldn't utter a single word. Li Yi smiled. This was the first time I had seen him smile. The facts also proved that if he were a cheerful person, all the girls in the village and even the town would have been captivated by him. Leaving no chance for Eli Fu, I withdrew my gaze from Li Yi and said to Eli Fu, you see, I do have someone to back me up. You'd better stop pestering me, or else getting beaten black and blue would really damage your image. Eli Fu cares a lot about his image, let alone getting into a physical altercation with someone. On the way back, I remained silent the whole time. My mood was clearly affected, and I never expected that Eli Fu had also been reborn. Li took out a lollipop and handed it to me. I stood there frozen, blinking my eyes. He scratched his nose and said somewhat awkwardly, I saw an old man selling them when I went to stock up today, so I bought one. Here, it's for you. I took it and asked without thinking, If you hadn't given it to me, who are you planning to give it to? My dog, Wonksai, Wonksai. A yellow native dog raised by Li Yi. I twitched the corner of my mouth, unsure whether to say thank you or not. My younger brother was watching us with a suggestive look in his eyes, but neither Li Yi nor I noticed. When we reached the door, we happened to run into Grandma sitting at the entrance enjoying the cool air after her meal. Oh no, Grandma fanned herself and, upon seeing Li Yi, remarked, "Isn't this the murderer's brother? It's over, the deal fell through." Upon hearing this, Li Yi's face instantly turned cold, and the surrounding air seemed to drop several degrees. Then he left without saying a word. 15. Grandma, why did you have to say that? My brother said angrily. My grandmother looked indifferent. I'm telling you, stay away from him, he looks fierce. Who knows if he'll be like his brother? I watched Li Yi's receding figure, feeling only that it was filled with bitterness. Late at night, I tossed and turned in bed, not feeling sleepy at all. My mind is filled with the image of Li Yi's back. I arrived early at Li Yi's doorstep. When the sky was still dark, around 3 in the morning, Wonksai, I called out to it through the crack in the door, holding a steamed bun. Wonksai ran over and took a bite of the bun. Wonksai was quite sociable, at least with me. Li Yi walked out from the inner room, his dark hair still dripping with water. He wasn't wearing any clothes on his upper body, revealing his well-defined abdominal muscles. Even after living a lifetime, my face still flushed red. Li Yi and Eli Fu were completely different types. The latter couldn't even compare to him. He stood under the moonlight, looking at me coldly, because I was half-squatting, blocking the crack under Li Yi's door. I didn't see the hands reaching out toward me from behind. I was instantly dragged away. Turning around, I saw a sleazy drunkard grinning at me. But he hadn't seen Li Yi either, and before he could do anything to me, Li Yi rushed over, grabbed him, and beat him up. I was stunned for a few seconds, then ran over and grabbed Li Yi's hand. Li Yi, stop fighting, it's not worth getting yourself in trouble over him. Li Yi, who was on the verge of rage, gradually calmed down upon hearing my words. He looked at me, panting heavily, and suddenly pulled me into his arms. He held me tightly, his whole body trembling. The drunkard briefly sobered up and immediately ran away. Who told you to run out in the middle of the night? If I had already gone to bed, what would you have done then? Ivishan, please stop tormenting me. 19. My tears suddenly started flowing, and I began to understand something in my heart. Li Yi, the person he likes, seems to be me. I'll walk you home. I sat in Li Yi's courtyard, and we remained silent for at least an hour before he finally said those words to me. Then, can I still come tomorrow? Come for what? You'd better not get involved with someone like me, he said self-deprecatingly. What if I want to? You like me, Li Yi, I said calmly, completely disregarding the impact these words would have on him, whether in the past life or this one. I suddenly remembered when I went to my younger brother's house in my past life, he was on the phone with someone, calling out Brother Yi. I didn't pay attention at the time, but now it seems that Li Yi had been in contact with my brother in the past life. A ripple stirred in the depths of Li Yi's profound gaze as he stared unwaveringly at me. Not denying it, my grandmother's actions don't represent Xiaohui or me, and you can't use that to pass judgment on our friendship. Your brother is your brother, and you are you. Li Yi lowered his gaze and, after a long pause, said, he accidentally killed her husband while trying to help Sister Hong, who was a victim of domestic violence. In my heart, he has never been a murderer. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. After that night, it felt like Li Yi and I shared a secret. He didn't stop cooperating with my family because of my grandmother's words. His business was getting better and better, so my younger brother went to help him. I managed the family's paper factory. However, relying solely on Li Yi's business was not enough to cover the expenses of our family's factory, so I set up a stall at the market, just like in my previous life, but this time it was for myself and my family. Business is booming, and I'm making a good amount of money every day, which makes my parents very happy. They often say that my brother and I have grown up, but the good times didn't last long. My former mother-in-law came to me, overturned my stall, stomped all my tissues under her feet, and yelled at me, 20. You shameless bitch. I thought it was for some other reason she called off the wedding, but it turns out she's hooked up with some other man, although Eli Fu is a scholar. His mother is a typical shrew. I've witnessed her quarrels with the neighbor's wife in my past life. Everyone, come and see, this wretched woman, Ivy Shan, called off the wedding and hooked up with someone else, making my son so sick he can't even get out of bed. My poor son. After saying that, she sat directly on the ground and started crying. I looked at her, ignoring the people who were pointing at me, and slowly broke into a smile. I had witnessed my mother-in-law's formidable nature in my previous life, so after being reborn, it was impossible for me not to be cautious. Eli Fu and Chen Jing hurried over. The former looked embarrassed as he tried to help his mother up, while the latter looked at me with a hint of schadenfreude in her eyes. I smiled at her, and suddenly the crowd was pushed aside. A sharp-eyed old man stepped out, accompanied by several men in black. Upon seeing this, Chen Jing could no longer maintain her smile. The old man walked up to Chen Jing and raised his hand to slap her hard across the face. I've raised you all these years, given you so much education, and in the end, you learned to run off with someone. You've completely shamed our Chen family. Uncle, Eli Fu stepped in front of Chen Jing. His face full of fear. Several men in black walked over, directly grabbed Eli Fu and punched him a few times. His mother, unwilling to stand by, rushed over and stood in front of him, shouting, "Why are you hitting my son?" The old man snorted coldly, "Don't you have any idea in your heart? How are we going to settle the score for your son encouraging my daughter to elope?" The onlookers quickly understood and began to criticize Eli Fu's mother. Thank goodness the girl called off the engagement. It turns out your son was involved in an inappropriate relationship with her. That poor girl is so unlucky to have ended up with your family, with a vicious mother-in-law like you. Anyone who marries into your family is doomed to misfortune. Eli Fu's mother was so enraged she couldn't catch her breath and fainted on the spot. Chen Jing, meanwhile, was taken away. A few days later, I heard that her father quickly arranged a blind date for her. Got her engaged, and she was to be married within a month. Meanwhile, Eli Fu was running back and forth between the hospital and home with dark circles under his eyes, taking care of his hospitalized mother as well as his younger siblings at home. He found me and knelt down before me. "Ivy, I'm sorry, I beg you. Give me another chance." Describing him as weeping and wailing wouldn't be an exaggeration. He seemed genuinely remorseful. If it were the me from my past life, I would have probably softened long ago, but I'm not. Do you think I would still like you after seeing your true self, and then continue to work like a beast of burden, taking care of your family for you? Eli Fu, I was a fool in my past life. But am I still foolish in this one, if we really have to nitpick? There's nothing about you that I want. Even trash can be recycled, but you're completely unrecyclable. Eli Fu's face turned as pale as paper, his entire body nearly collapsing. 21. Eli Fu left, taking with him his last shred of pride. Actually, I knew his reason for trying to win me back. His family had no money, and he needed it, and my family just happened to have some money, but I was foolish for a lifetime in my past life, so why would I let him have his way in this one? After this incident, my family's business improved even more, and the factory expanded by more than double. Lee found a new storefront and opened a small shop. The days passed one by one, until he drove to the large supermarket and came to my house to propose. In fact, from that night on, there was a tacit understanding between us. He always brought me all kinds of delicious food that I had never tried before, or he would ask me to watch a movie with him. His ears turning red, I agreed to all of this. Li Yi actually felt inferior to me, from our past life to this one. But in this life, he mustered up his courage. On a dark and windy night, he held my hand. I asked him, "Didn't you always think you weren't good enough for me before? How come you've been so bold lately?" He said, "Because I have the confidence now, and I can sense and guarantee that things will only get better from here. I won't, and don't want to, let you suffer. Ivy Shan, then come to my house to propose." Li Yi. My parents naturally agreed. Apart from my grandmother, who viewed Li Yi through tinted glasses, everyone in my family thought highly of him, including me. On the wedding day, Eli Fu stood at the door with red eyes. I walked past him, holding Li Yi's arm, and gave him a faint smile. Later, I heard he was assigned to teach in a remote village. From then on, we had nothing to do with each other.